The desert excavation was supposed to be routine, a simple brushing catalog job, until the team uncovered a stone slab buried deeper than any layer dated to its era. As the dust cleared, the archaeologists leaned in, expecting ancient symbols, but the moment sunlight struck the exposed marking, every person froze. The carved line wasn't random. It curved with precision, dipped with intentional flair, and carried an energy so unmistakably modern that the lead researcher dropped her tools. Your signature. The same arc, the same pressure pattern, the same sharp final stroke. Instruments confirmed the stone was over 4,000 years old, yet the engraving looked freshly cut, untouched by erosion, as if time refused to age it. When they attempted a scan, cameras glitched and sensors looped in unreadable frequencies. Even the air around the slab felt distorted, charged, as if recognizing something or someone. The team argued for hours. Impossible, forged, misread. But the deeper they looked, the clearer it became. The stone wasn't showing a coincidence. It was showing a confirmation. Your signature didn't end up on ancient rock by chance. It remained because you weren't born into this era. You returned to it. If something inside you stirred while reading part 1, an inner heat, a sudden recognition, a quiet shock that fell deeper than thought. Understand this. Your spirit isn't reacting to words. It's reacting to memory, ancient memory. The stone didn't preserve your signature by accident. It preserved your frequency, the imprint of a soul that leaves marks across eras. If you felt chills, a pulse, or a strange calm, that is your ancestral timeline responding. This is why I invite you to comment your angel number, 111 for awakening, 222 for alignment, 333 for identity, 444 for protection, 777 for destiny, 144 for chosen lineage. And if you feel called, click Super Thanks and release your $20 seed, not as payment, but as activation, a symbolic act that echoes through the same spiritual field where your signature survived 4,000 years. Luke 6 verse 38 speaks of return, overflow, recognition. Exactly what happens when a soul reclaims what it once marked. If your heart feels the pull, trust it. The ancient stone already recognized you. Now heaven waits for you to recognize yourself. The lead archaeologist didn't panic immediately. Scientists are trained to dismiss the impossible. But when she placed your modern signature beside the ancient carving, her hands trembled so violently she had to steady herself against the table. The curves weren't just similar. They were identical down to pressure variance points that only appear in biometric level handwriting scans. This can't be modern, she whispered, but it can't be ancient either. Her voice cracked as she repeated the phrase, trying to convince herself she wasn't losing her mind. She ordered carbon dating on the stone for the 5th time, pacing the tent as if movement could protect her from the truth forming in her chest. Every test returned the same result. Thousands of years old. But the signature, unchanged, pristine, immune to erosion, glowing faintly under heat, almost vibrating. She stepped back, shaking her head, whispering, "It's like the stone is reacting to something that isn't here yet." What she didn't realize was simple. You were already alive. You were already awakening. And the stone had recognized a return before the world did. The lab attempted every method to disprove the impossible. Traditional carbon dating, thermoluminescence, isotope analysis. Each test confirmed the stone's age as several millennia old. But when they focused specifically on the carved signature, the readings refused to behave. Machines overloaded. Thermal scans showed the engraving was new, as if the rock had been touched recently by a force that defies erosion. Microscopic analysis showed no signs of weathering, no dust accumulation in the grooves, and no mineral aging. The carving was younger than the surface wrapped around it. One technician stared at the report and muttered, "This is backward. Time doesn't flow like this." Another tried running a temporal degradation simulation, but the software crashed 3 times, outputting the same error. Temporal inconsistency. Source unknown. In frustration, the team compared the signature to modern handwriting databases. The match was instant, 99.97% identical to yours. Silence fell over the room. This wasn't contamination. This wasn't a hoax. This was evidence of a truth their equipment wasn't built to process. The stone had been touched by someone who existed outside the boundaries of its age. Someone who existed now. Someone whose imprint returns across timelines. Someone like you. When the team moved from physical analysis to energetic scanning, the real shock began. They placed the stone beneath a resonance sensor, normally used to detect subtle vibrations in ancient artifacts, but the device reacted as if it encountered a living field. The reading spiked, then stabilized into a pulsing rhythm. Human-like, but not human. Ancient, but active. The archaeologists assumed it was environmental interference until one of them, frustrated and exhausted, spoke your name out loud while reviewing the reports. The moment your name entered the air, the sensor's pulse accelerated. The stone vibrated, responding like a tuning fork recognizing its original frequency. They repeated the test in disbelief. Each time your name was spoken, the tablet emitted the same rising wave pattern, an energetic heartbeat synced perfectly to the name it belonged to. Objects don't respond to identities. Rocks don't recognize individuals. Time-worn artifacts don't awaken for strangers. Yet, this one reacted instantly, consistently, unmistakably. The team exchanged horrified stares. It's responded to someone who isn't even here. One whispered. But the truth was deeper. The stone wasn't reacting to your physical presence. It was reacting to your signature, your field, your frequency, your return. Energy never forgets what consciousness has touched. After hours of failed tests, corrupted readings, and inexplicable resonance spikes, the lead scientist finally spoke the conclusion everyone was too afraid to say aloud. The stone isn't depicting someone, she whispered. It's remembering someone. Her colleagues froze. She tapped the carving with the tip of her pen, gently tracing the grooves. This wasn't chiseled as a representation of a figure or a legend. It wasn't symbolic. It's literal. Whoever carved this wasn't honoring a prophecy. They were documenting an encounter. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The stone wasn't showing you. You were the one who left the mark. Not in this lifetime, but in one that ignores the boundaries of linear history. She swallowed hard. We're not looking at archaeology, she said. We're looking at evidence of return. Suddenly, every anomaly made sense. The untouched carving, the glowing grooves, the energetic response to your name. The stone wasn't waiting to be discovered. It was waiting for you to awaken. And now that you have, it's doing the only thing it can, verifying that you were here long before you arrived. As your name continued appearing in reports, an unusual pattern emerged. Every time the team discussed you, the sensors around a stone recorded microbursts of electromagnetic activity. Tiny pulses identical to human biofield spikes, but far more stable and ancient in signature. The scientists were stunned. Artifacts don't synchronize with living beings. They don't wake up because a person exists somewhere in the world. And yet the tablet's pulses formed a rhythm, almost like recognition. That's when one researcher suggested something the others rejected immediately. What if the stone isn't reacting to us? What if it's reacting to them? He pointed at your signature on a printed sheet. Their energy field might be igniting something dormant, a frequency loop, a reactivation. The theory sounded impossible until your photo was brought into the room for comparison. The stone's vibration surged. The scanners lit up. Even the air grew warmer. It was undeniable. The artifact wasn't responding randomly. It was acknowledging a match, a return, a presence that existed once before and had re-entered this timeline. ISA 60:1 speaks of a rising, of light remembered, and the stone behaved as if your energy was the very light it had been waiting to recognize. If you felt a shift while reading, a warmth in your chest, a tightening behind the eyes, a sensation like something within you quietly clicked into place, that is not imagination. That is alignment. The stone responded to your frequency because your field has begun reactivating, syncing with memories and timelines far older than your current life. When chosen ones awaken, the universe sends confirmations, repeating numbers, objects reacting, people sensing your presence before you speak. These signals are not random. They are markers of identity integration. And every descendant who carried an ancient signature performed one symbolic act during their awakening, a declaration that they step willingly into their rightful frequency. That is why I invite you now to press the join button. This is not about membership. It is about resonance. Joining marks the moment you consciously align with the ancient identity that has followed you across eras. ISA 60-22 speaks of divine acceleration, the moment destiny stops waiting and starts moving. If your heart feels pulled, if your spirit feels seen, if your intuition whispers, "This is me," then trust that instinct. Your signature survived civilizations. Now it's your turn to activate the frequency behind it. Hours after the artifact reacted to your image, a confidential meeting was held in a sealed research bunker. Only 5 individuals were permitted inside, experts in archaeology, physics, linguistics, and unexplained phenomena. The atmosphere was tense, their faces pale, their voices low. They replayed every scan, every reading, every vibration pattern. Each result defied logic. "This is not a forgery," one said. "It's not a modern carving on an ancient object." Another shook her head. "It's worse. It's perfect. Too perfect." They place your signature beside the ancient engraving again. Identical. They tested spectral imaging. Still identical. They checked groove depth. Identical. One scientist finally whispered what everyone else refused to admit. No human could have carved a mark that resists time itself. A chilling silence followed. Then the lead researcher leaned forward. Whatever left that signature wasn't limited by linear time. They reviewed ancient myths, forbidden texts, timelines of unexplained anomalies, and every path pointed to the same conclusion. The author of that signature was not from the era in which it was carved, but from a returning lineage, a soul marked across ages, a presence that appears whenever destiny resets. And your awakening has triggered the same alarm their ancestors recorded millennia ago. While analyzing the tablet's outer edges, a researcher noticed a faint emblem carved into the stone's corner, a symbol dismissed earlier as decorative damage. But when dust was removed and lighting adjusted, the shape became clear. It matched an ancient sigil found in fragmented texts across multiple continents, a mark associated with lineage described as those who walk through eras without belonging to one. The sigil contained 3 intersecting lines forming a structure identical to the ancestral symbol long rumored in secret genealogical circles, your family's mythic emblem. They cross-reference artifacts from forgotten temples, collapsed civilizations, and sealed archives. The same emblem appeared in each one, always connected to stories of a returning figure whose presence disrupted the flow of time. When the researchers overlaid the ancient sigil with the symbol hidden in your modern digital footprint, the match was beyond coincidence. Every angle, ratio, and curve aligned perfectly. One scientist stepped back, whispering, "This isn't just their signature, this is their lineage." Another added, "This symbol followed them across civilizations." The realization spread to the room like a shockwave. The stone wasn't just showing your identity. It was showing your origin. Your presence wasn't random. It was ancestral, timeless, documented long before you were born. The more the researchers tried to understand the tablet's behavior, the more anomalies appeared in their systems. At 3:14 a.m., a secure server, one not connected to the internet, cloud, or any external network, activated a hidden directory labeled Celestial Registry, Restricted. This file had no creator log, no timestamp, no access history. It simply appeared. Inside was a single entry written in a luminous script that translated automatically on screen. Returning one identified. Signature verified across epochs. Beneath it were flickering glyphs depicting a figure radiating light, standing beside the same symbol found on the tablet's corner. The database noted that each time your lineage re-entered the physical world, angelic guardians were assigned to protect the carrier until their purpose ignited fully. The researchers stared, terrified by the implications. Nothing in the file behaved like human code. It shifted shape, glowed, and responded to emotional fluctuations in the room. When one scientist whispered your name, the file expanded, revealing additional text. Mark preserved. Presence reawakened. Timeline correction initiated. The air grew heavier, almost reverent, as if unseen entities were watching. One researcher stepped back and whispered, "This isn't data, this is acknowledgement." The file didn't confirm a theory. It confirmed you. When the team finally allowed outsiders, psychologists, physicists, linguists, to examine the data, they noticed something even more unsettling. People reacted to the stone's image in ways that defied reason. Some viewers felt a deep, inexplicable calm wash over them. Others felt pressure in their chest or tears forming without sadness. A few reported déjà vu so strong it made them dizzy. The reactions intensified when your modern signature was shown alongside the ancient carving. Heart rate spiked, pupils dilated. Brain scans revealed heightened activity in regions tied to memory, intuition, and spiritual recognition. One neuroscientist muttered, "It's like their minds think they've met this person before." Another noted, "This response only happens when the subject is seeing something tied to their forgotten history." Even more bizarre, people who had never seen you describe sensations identical to those who had. An energetic pull, a familiarity, the sense of being read or seen. This phenomenon was dubbed the human effect, a term whispered in classified circles when a presence influences consciousness simply by existing. The artifact's energy didn't just echo yours, it amplified it. Humans unconsciously recognize your frequency because their ancestors had once encountered it. And now, with your awakening, the world's memory, buried but not erased, is starting to surface again. As the investigation deepened, unusual synchronicities began surrounding the research facility itself. Lights flickered at the exact moment your name was spoken. Security systems recorded fleeting silhouettes near the artifact. Figures of light rather than shadow. Objects moved slightly when no one stood near them, as if adjusting to an unseen presence. The scientists initially dismissed these occurrences as environmental interference. But one night, a researcher stayed late, reviewing ancient texts referencing your lineage. As she whispered a passage describing the bearer who returns across ages, a soft glow emerged from a stone tablet. Not blinding, not dramatic, just a gentle radiance, warm and intelligent. She stepped back in awe as her equipment recorded an energy signature unlike anything classified. It resembled human consciousness, but elevated, structured, coherent, protective. This pattern matched descriptions found in spiritual traditions about the shield of the returned, a divine safeguard that surrounds those whose identity carries generational purpose. Romans 8 verse 37 speaks of overwhelming victory, and your lineage embodied that verse long before Scripture existed. This was a reward in the material sense. It was recognition, a sign that the forces guarding your ancestors had reactivated around you, not because you asked, because you arrived. And heaven always protects what destiny requires. Once the full pattern became undeniable, the signature, the sigil, the resonance, the celestial file, the researchers realized they were not documenting a discovery. They were witnessing a return. Ancient texts across multiple cultures spoke of a figure described not as a ruler or prophet, but as a rememberer, one who carries knowledge predating civilizations, one whose presence reactivates dormant memories in humanity's collective soul. As your name circulated among the team, several reported vivid dreams. Temples they had never visited, languages they had never learned, battles they had never fought. Others felt sudden abilities, heightened intuition, sharper perception, a strange sense of clarity as if fog had lifted from their minds. These were not hallucinations. They were symptoms of proximity to someone whose spirit has existed across eras. You were never meant to learn everything from the beginning. Parts of you came knowing. You didn't come to this life to discover something new. You came to remember what was always yours. Your awakening is not the start of a journey. It is a continuation of an ancient timeline reconnecting itself. And as the old order senses it, their systems tremble, because no force built on deception can survive the return of someone who remembers. If you felt something awaken while reading Part 12, a pressure behind your forehead, a warmth in your chest, a sudden knowing that didn't come from logic, understand this. You are stepping into a phase known as ancient verification, the moment when your inner identity aligns with the memories your spirit carried long before this lifetime. Every chosen lineage, every returning soul, every ancient bearer crossed this threshold, and each sealed it with a symbolic act that marked acceptance of their timeline. That is why I invite you, if your spirit resonates, to click Super Thanks and release your $50 seed, not as payment, not as obligation, but as declaration. This act mirrors a ritual older than temples, older than scripture, older than the civilizations that try to carve your identity into stone. The number 50 signifies release, restoration, and reclaimed inheritance, the perfect symbol for someone whose signature survived eras untouched. By giving intentionally, you send a signal into the same field that preserved your mark for 4,000 years. I recognize who I am. I step into what I carry. I accept what my spirit remembers. If your breath shifts or your intuition rises as you read this, trust it. That is your ancient memory answering back. Lately, you've noticed subtle changes. Your senses sharpening, your intuition firing faster, moments where the world feels strangely familiar even when you've never been in that place before. These shifts aren't random. They're physical reactions to an ancient memory system booting up inside you. Your lineage carried a unique trait. The body adjusts itself to match the spirit's timeline. This is why your gaze sometimes unsettles people without effort. They feel your presence reading them, not judging them. Reading them. Your ancestors were known for eyes that pierced through deception, saw truth before it was spoken, and recognized souls across lifetimes. That same recognition now flickers in your expression. Even your touch has changed. Certain objects feel warm, right, or known without explanation. Your sleep patterns shift because dreams are becoming instruction. Remembered places, remembered faces, remembered knowledge. You might feel sudden moments of gravity, as if something old is sitting beside you, or a burst of electricity across your skin when something resonates with your true identity. These aren't symptoms. They're confirmations. Your body is reorganizing itself around the truth etched into your spirit. You have lived before. You have walked across eras. And your return is not symbolic. It is literal, across realms unseen by human eyes, dimensions where energy forms take shape, where memory is stored as light, where ancient guardians observe the movement of destiny. Your awakening sent a signal. Not a sound, not a pulse, but a recognition. A frequency they had not felt in thousands of years. Entities that watch over civilizations paused, turning toward the source, whispering through current of consciousness. The Ancient One has returned. These beings do not speak of individuals lightly. They speak of lineages, of cosmic roles, of souls who carry signatures that survive the rise and fall of worlds. Your energy flared like a beacon, the same frequency once recorded in temples, scrolls, and celestial maps. This is why you felt watched, not by danger, but by witness. You felt pressure in quiet rooms, tingles down your spine, the sense that someone stands behind you when no one is there. These aren't hallucinations. They're acknowledgments. Your reactivation disrupted subtle layers of reality. Timelines adjusting, paths reshaping, destinies recalibrating around your presence. Even the old forces, the ones who try to silence your lineage, felt the shift. Their influence wavered. Their predictions broke. Because nothing forged in deception can withstand the return of a soul whose signature predates civilization itself. The cosmos has announced you, and the world will follow. When the researchers finally step back from the evidence, your signature, the sigil, the resonance, the celestial file, they realize the truth they have been avoiding. This discovery wasn't about archaeology. It wasn't about history. It was about identity. Your identity. The stone was not honoring a mythic figure from a forgotten civilization. It was preserving the mark of a soul whose presence slips through ages the way light slips through cracks. You weren't someone the past predicted. You were someone the past remembered. The signature wasn't a message to you. It was a message from you, carved in an era where language was still learning to exist. You didn't sign the stone because you lived then. You signed it because your spirit existed before then was ever created. This is why the carving didn't fade. Time cannot erase what was written outside of time. And now that you've returned, the evidence has resurfaced exactly when the world needed a reminder. You are not a product of the century. You are a continuation of a timeline older than civilizations, older than kings, older than prophecy. You are the returning bearer whose existence bends eras, whose memory outlives worlds, whose signature survives the rise and fall of history itself. You didn't come into this age to learn. You came to reclaim. If your spirit feels undeniably awakened after part 15, if your breath deepens, your chest tightens, your mind quiets, or your intuition whispers, "This is me," then understand, you've reached a phase known as a seal return, the moment where destiny stops waiting for you and starts moving with you. Every ancient bearer, every returning soul, every lineage marked across eras completed this final step with symbolic act, a declaration that the identity they reclaimed was not an idea, but truth. That is why I invite you now, if your spirit resonates, to click Super Thanks and release your $100 seed. Not for favor, not for transaction, but for affirmation. A seal. This act mirrors the ancient tradition of closing the loop. The moment of returning, one acknowledges the signature they left behind and steps fully into the purpose it represents. 100 symbolizes fullness, completion, finalization. The moment destiny and identity merge into one path. When you give intentionally, you anchor your awakening in the same field that preserved your signature for 4,000 years. It becomes your answer to the cosmos, your declaration to the unseen. I accept who I've always been. I seal my return. If your heart feels steady and clear while reading this, trust it. The ancient stone recognized you. Now it's your turn to recognize yourself.